So, Final Fantasy VII. It's the game that people have such reverence for. People have such nostalgia for this game. It is like the promised land of RPGs, PS1 titles, you name it. Right, so today, the Final Fantasy VII demo has launched. This demo has been like, data mined for a while, but today we finally got our actual hands on it as consumers. So how was it? Well, before I talk about the actual demo itself, I just want to give a little introduction, just to give an idea of what my history with the series is like. So I'm just going to rip the band-aid off right now. I've actually never played Final Fantasy VII. So I'm a fan of the Final Fantasy series as a whole, but I did cut my teeth with it on Final Fantasy VIII. Personally though, I didn't go back and try Final Fantasy VII until the era of the PS3, when I downloaded it on like a sale from the PlayStation Store, tried it out for a good hour, and I really didn't gel with it. It didn't feel like the game had aged well at all. So this remake isn't just a remake of Final Fantasy VII. It is a complete reimagining. We've gone from a turn-based battle game to like a strange turn-based real-time hybrid of sorts. The demo opens up with a very, very nice cinematic. And I think it's a really good opener to just show off some of like the visuals of the game, some of the presentation. So we're starting out with Aeris, and yeah, it looks really nice, and then eventually we jump into the scene with Cloud on the train. I can't help feel though that these games would look awesome on the new consoles. Next gen is like 6 months away from when these games are launching, specifically on the PS4 actually. It's not even launching on the Xbox One for another year. But yes, they do look really nice for a PS4 game. Just, would have been nice to see what it can look like on a PlayStation 5. Anyway, let's just get into the meat of it. So, the demo itself, I thought it was quite slow to start with. Obviously, they've chosen to give us the very opening of Final Fantasy VII, so there's not really any like story spoilers. I understand that. They wanted to start us out with the start of the game. However, that also has the downside of being really, really slow to get into anything. So the start of the demo, the first like half of it I'd say, is just constantly cutting between gameplay, cinematics, and tutorial pop-ups, and it feels very jarring and very slow. I will give a shout out to the fact that the transitions between cutscenes and gameplay are really fluid. Like, some of the best I've seen in most games, besides maybe like God of War. But yeah, then you also have the tutorial pop-ups, and they come at you hard and fast. There's so many of them, they just give you the most minute amount of detail per pop-up, and they just come at you over and over and over again. And it really spoils like the timing and the pacing of the demo. Got me really frustrated when I picked it up. That being said, I think tutorials are very necessary for this demo, because going into this hybrid mode of some things are real time, some things are still turn-based, it's really quite jarring and feels very complicated at first. And then with the complication, you also get Barret as a secondary character. So Barret is a secondary character in combat, but you only ever control Cloud when you're outside of combat, which leads to a lot of weird moments where I was playing combat as Barret, finish off the last enemy, and then control jump straight over to Cloud without any cut between gameplay. And obviously this is a bit of a side effect of the fact no longer are we jumping into like random battles and having transition scenes. We are going straight from in combat to outside of combat, and at times it feels very strange and takes a little bit of time to get used to, I'd say. All that being said, progressing into the demo, things start to free up quite a lot and things start to feel a lot better. Combat started to get a little bit more fleshed out, not too much, but then also the tutorials, they stopped popping up all of the time. There wasn't as many cuts between the actual gameplay and the cutscenes constantly. I will point out though, there's quite a few moments where it goes from a cutscene to Cloud needlessly interacting with one character or one button and then going straight back into a cutscene. Why not just make it one whole cutscene? There was no need for me to press a button for an elevator just to then go back into a cutscene. So, when the demo really ramped up, we got to the Scorpion boss fight of all things, and I really enjoyed it at that point. Things started to feel a lot more cinematic in combat. I liked how much control there was over the combat, and you're controlling two characters kind of at the same time because you have a constant pop-up menu that you can activate whenever you want. It feels really nice. The jumping between switching characters, giving the secondary character commands, a lot of this feels, as I say, quite overwhelming to start with because you are constantly jumping between real-time combat and turn-based combat. The thing is though, after I got over that a little bit more, I really started to see the potential in the combat system and really enjoyed it. I just wish we had more moments like the Scorpion fight in the demo and not so many fights where it was basically just pressing the basic attack button. I understand that in a turn-based RPG this happens a lot and there's a lot of grinding. However, in a real-time combat scenario, it feels a lot less gratifying to just mash square and win a fight. Once again, I must mention the presentation. I finished the demo and I thought the entire time the graphics really do look nice. I enjoy the art style that they've gone for. It's semi-realistic, but it still does have that sci-fi fantasy feel to it. I think the menus still feel a little bit old in their design, but I think they did do a good job of updating them enough and still feeling like the original game at the same time. The one thing I will say is the music. It's just top notch from what I've heard. It sounds really faithful to the original tracks as far as I'm aware, and it just sounded really modern and awesome. I cannot fault the music whatsoever. So yeah, it sounds like I'm a little bit mixed on the demo, which I was. I really enjoyed, as I said, the presentation of it. I just felt it was a really weird point to start off a demo, and I think if we had maybe started off just a little bit later, where there isn't quite so many cuts constantly between tutorials, cutscenes, gameplay, it would have felt a little bit more fluid and got me into the moment a bit more. I understand that this is like the nostalgia play, but for somebody who didn't actually play Final Fantasy VII when they were younger, this just felt a little bit cumbersome, and I really only started to enjoy it when we got closer to the Scorpion fight at the end. So that's the thing, I have a lot of gripes with this demo, and I really enjoyed it towards the end as I've mentioned, but I can't pin a lot of the faults on the full game. I think it's the symptom of just being the opening of the title and leaving things a bit too basic for my liking. However, when it got into like the real feel of what the game is going to be like, I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I am really looking forward to learning the new systems and getting used to like this cool combat, and I'm just wanting to experience this story for the first time. Big footnote on the end of this demo, impressions, preview thing that I'm doing. We just have to mention one thing. That is that this game is part one of, we don't know. We don't know what this is part one of. So we know that overall this will be a full remake of the entire Final Fantasy VII, but this release is not going to be that. So we're experiencing quite a shady marketing tactic, I'd say, of calling this a full Final Fantasy VII Remake, because that is what is on the box. That's how this is being marketed. However, we have been told that this only covers the Midgar section of Final Fantasy VII, which, according to other sources, is not actually a great deal of the game. Once again, you're going to have to bear with me because I'm not actually aware how big a portion Midgar is of the game, not having played it myself. However, looking at other sources, they are saying that this is a significant chunk missing from Final Fantasy VII, and I've got to take their word for it. I think the worst part of it, as I mentioned, is Square has not given us any idea of how many parts this is going to be. Not only that, they've not even told us how they're going to release it, what consoles it's going to be on, when they're going to be released, like time-wise, whether the rest of the remake is going to be expansions upon this, or if they're all going to be full-price games. So basically, you're paying for a full-price game that they have, to be fair, said is the length of a full-price game. They've said they've greatly expanded the Midgar section into this part 1. But you have no idea what you're actually investing in. They've given us no real idea of what this game is going to be and how long it's going to take to make it. Do we know if the entire remake is going to be finished by 2030? They've not told us. So yeah, I'm really now looking forward to part 1 after playing it myself, and I probably will be picking it up, but I can't justify telling people to buy this part 1 remake when we have no idea what the rest of the game and remake is going to be. I guess maybe wait until reviews come out and get a better idea of the product, because Square Enix sure as hell are leaving everybody in the dark about this product right now, and it's so infuriating. Anyway, I'll end this little rant now before I get too far off the rails, but I do think that Square Enix is being very irresponsible towards the consumer with this product. So yeah, does the demo sell me on part 1 of the game? Yeah, totally, I'm in. Has Square sold me on the entire premise of a remake with multiple parts though? No, totally not. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little preview / rant about the Final Fantasy VII Part 1 Remake demo. And if you'd like to see more, just give us a little like or a comment and let me know. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Bye.